night here in Austin. I'm your host today, and I'm joined this segment with Anthony Gucciardi. And Anthony, just I turn over here looking at you, I'm looking at this these new Moulin Lave belt buckles. Those are sharp-looking buckles, aren't they?
Yeah, they're pretty awesome, actually.
It's a limited edition of 500 of them. It's one way that you can help to support the operation here, as well as look super cool. I think those are nice looking. If you've seen the T-shirts, it's very similar to that logo. Very nice looking logo to go along with the made in 1776 line. Only 500 of those, limited edition. Anthony, it looks like they're taking the mask off on all fronts, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know if it means that we're winning, which we are in many ways, or if they're just all out going full frontal assault at this point, because I'm looking at how they're manipulating every single piece of news and every single event in their favor and pushing the most ridiculous option. Mm-hmm. And it reminds me of the story from Drudge today about the swine flu crossing the border from the illegal immigrants coming in, mostly children, as you know, we've been talking about shipping them in by the busload. Well, now the whole angle is, well, let's not worry about that. What we need is genetically modified meat, because that would overall cure swine flu and it would cure everything else. So I like to talk about this Popular Science article called "How Soon Might We Have Genetically Modified Meat?" Just like begging people, please just let it happen. It's good for you. And the subheadline is "The State of Diarrhea Preventing Goat Milk, Flu-Resistant Poultry, and Cleaner Pigs." And it goes on to talk about, you know, it's so strange that people aren't accepting genetically modified animals to eat, because in the past they had genetically modified salmon, and the FDA says that's perfectly safe. You know, in the
Frankenfish.
Yeah, the first paragraph. It seems genetically modified animals have seemed to stalled in the approval processes, despite the fact that positive scientific reviews found that Aqua Bounty fish, the GM fish, is safe to eat and safe for the environment. Right? And it goes on to say that maybe what they can do is, instead of giving pigs mouse genes, scientists could make domestic pigs with genes normally found in wild pigs. You know, that's way safer. Mouse genes are okay, but maybe if we
of course,
a little more domestic.
That Michigan farmer who was, and the other Michigan farmers who were raising a strain of pigs that were hairy because they were essentially free-range pigs in a very cold climate. And, of course, they got the Department of Natural Resources there in Michigan to come in, and most of those farms, they shut them down and shot the pigs. This guy fought them for over 3 years, finally prevailed, but, of course, you know, he had to survive. He had to depend on contributions from people sending him money, and he's not getting any compensation from the government for that. And they never came back and backed off of that. They just said, well, we'll let you have those pigs, but not necessarily other people. That's the other tactic that they use. But it's Popular Science seems to always come in with, no matter how bad the technology or how bad the possible consequences, they always take this gee whiz attitude to it. It's a very dangerous attitude for any scientist to say, well, just because we can do it, we should.
Well, you're not allowed to have actual real hogs. They'll kill all of them. They can have mouse gene hogs, so those are good. But that's a little bit of an older piece. I wanted to tie this in, though, for an understanding here. The fact that we've already been through this. And what I find most shocking is we keep having these reports come out that even federal scientists are saying, no, this is really weird. We shouldn't release genetically modified animals, specifically real environmentalists. Like, that's phony environmentalism to say, we need to genetically modify all the animals. It's perfectly safe and clean, and we won't have any more diseases. That's fake environmentalism, globalist insanity, propagated by, you know, the elite who are pushing all of this. However, you have actual federal scientists, and I've talked to some of them, but here we have these leaked emails where they were talking about, you know, basically it's going to turn into Jurassic Park. Yes. Because what they claim is that the genetically modified animals are sterile, completely sterile. But they found that despite Aqua Bounty's claim, the producer of the genetically modified fish, to produce only sterile salmon, the company admitted that up to 5% of their genetically modified salmon eggs could be fertile. And the FDA said, well, that could be potentially misleading, but overall it's good and we recommend it. But even Congress, that passes the most horrendous things you can dream of, many of which are, you know, true criminals, said that no, even this is too insane. So they banned the FDA, who was pushing through all the genetically modified garbage, saying, no, FDA, you actually can't approve this. They went on to say that an advisory panel indicated that more studies would be needed before it could be served on the nation's dinner tables. And if the FDA had approved the salmon, it would be the first time the government allowed such modified animals to be marketed for human consumption, and the FDA would not label them.
That's how we win. That's how we get them to stand down, just like we did in Syria, just as Alex was pointing out in that report, how in Syria people push back against this war narrative, and we can roll back what's happening at the borders, and we can roll back what's happening in genetically modified organisms where they don't even want people to know what's in their food.
From the water table to our soils to the atmosphere itself, our world is becoming more and more toxic each and every day. But it's not just the air outside that's toxic. Indoor air has been shown to have 2 to 5 times higher concentrations of pollutants than even outdoor air. And most Americans spend 90% of their time inside using toxic chemicals within their homes. There are more than 42 million smokers in the United States. Well over 1,000 types of mold and mildew linked to numerous conditions. And don't forget the fact that 6 million Americans live with pets they're allergic to as well. When I began to research these statistics, it was clear to me it was time to start cleansing my lungs in order to combat the toxic environment that we cannot escape but that we can fight back against. Made with organic and wild cultivated herbs and manufactured in the USA, the new InfoWars Life Lung Cleanse is here in a convenient spray bottle that can be brought with you throughout any toxic environment. Now available exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
Hey, now you can watch the Alex Jones Show live as it happens at Infowars.com/show.